Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome back, infinite beings, back to the infinite me, where we're talking about everything to do with infinite living and what that looks like, how to embody that, play with it all, and show up and follow the feeling wherever that takes you. So, I'm Mandy, and over there is Nat, as you may know. And so yesterday we were talking about loved ones going through hard times and how you deal with that, handle that, if you like. So we're talking about unconditional love versus rescuing people, if you like, and how we can fall into that trap sometimes of feeling like we need to step in and help people out of their situation, and that can often come from an ego space versus, very unconditional loving acceptance of where somebody is at. So we were going to talk more about that topic today because it is quite a big topic, as we did discuss, but we're going to do a slightly different plan today because Nat's not feeling overly great today, so we're not going to have a huge long talk, and we thought that would be a better topic to kind of spend a bit more time on. So we will revisit that topic maybe tomorrow or something. So today we just thought we'd have a general chat. I don't know, we don't really have a plan as such. We just thought we'd be just in the moment with where we're at with stuff, and maybe Nat might be with where she's at now, how she's feeling, and maybe what's coming up for her.
Yeah, it's interesting. Since we got to Paris, maybe 10 days ago or something. It's sort of feel like I've been fighting off this sort of fluey type thing, I guess, and I'll lose my voice. So Jodie sort of had it first, and then I sort of got a little bit of it, and then sort of came good again, and then sort of got a little bit more, and then came good again yesterday, so I was actually okay again. But today I woke up just feeling like I've been hit by a ton of bricks. I was like, oh, okay, now what? Like, now something else. And I guess sort of makes me wonder, I guess with any illness type thing or any discomfort in the body sort of thing, like how much of that is transformational. And obviously doing all these conversations and stuff every day, like, is really confronting for well, I can expect for me, I can't speak for you, man, but sort of confronts you a little bit, because it means that if you're going to be talking about this stuff all the time, you really have to then be living it in your own life and confronting that with whatever's going on for you in your relationship, in your finances, in putting our project together, all those things. So it sort of starts filtering through every area of life. Things have to start shifting and changing. And so I've definitely been feeling that. And I feel like I'm moving towards a knowingness that I've had for a very long time, about sort of that infinite self and the infinite feeling, and everything's possible, and the body's not real, and reality is not real, and all those sorts of things. But I guess it's almost like my body is catching up to that vibrational level now. So it feels real. I feel really lethargic. I woke up with a sore throat. I've got a headache. Those sort of flu-like symptoms are quite indicative of, or can be quite indicative of, transformational work, like the aching body, the tiredness. Maybe not so much the sore throat. Maybe that's just getting me to not talk so much right now, and just be in silence. But it's sort of interesting to look at different symptoms themselves and sort of go, okay, what's it actually showing me? Like the lethargy, all I want to go is go to sleep. So it's almost like the infinite self wants me to get the ego out of the way, because when you're awake, you've got ego. When you're asleep, you don't have the ego anymore. So it's almost puts it to bed and puts it to sleep type. So it's sort of like, I can make these adjustments to your physical self, but you need to get out of the way right now. So I'm just going to sleep for a while and get you out of the picture. The aching body, to me, always represents like that vibrational level is changing sort of thing, and your physical form is trying to catch up to those higher vibrational levels. So there is a lot of energy moving through the body, and I can feel it as I lay there type thing. I can feel stuff shifting in my physical form, and different vibrations coming through, different thought patterns coming through. Not so many thoughts, actually, probably a lot of patterns coming into my awareness. Like, I was like, I can see that really strong overtone of that pattern. Or I've been feeling into I think you talked about the other day, man, about, and in fact, I don't think we were even live at the time. It was just you and I chatting about that undercurrent of stress that sits in the physical form.
Yeah, like a low-level anxiety sometimes.
Yeah, sort of an anxiety, stress. For me, it feels like tense.
Tension.
It's like there's, yeah, it's sort of like I'm really tuning into parts of it's really quite hard to explain, like sort of this core physical being type thing, that there's a real tightness around it. And I'm starting to really notice that more and more type thing. And I feel like I'm sort of separating from it, but starting to observe it more rather than just being in it and not even realizing that I'm really tense, which I've no doubt been over the years. So it's sort of taking a step back. I think this sort of last week or so, I've had to slow down a bit because I felt like I was moving quite quickly on our project and getting a lot of stuff done because I was in flow. I wasn't forcing it. There were a few moments of force, and I sort of recognized that and stepped back. But a lot of it was just being flow, and so there's lots of stuff been happening behind the scenes and putting our new program together in particular. But then there was a part of me that went slow down a little bit, like you've got to sort of catch up to what's going on here right now. So it's almost like that this feeling like this is moderating that timing aspect almost, like I'm sort of seeing that, okay, maybe this is how the infinite self sort of speeds up and slows down time in the human sense to get us to either be in the flow and keep moving quickly or slow us down a little bit to catch up to what's going on and everything that's around us. So it's sort of just really interesting to observe. And I think the other thing that I've really observed was going, I'm not feeling well. And it's like, no, it's not that I'm not feeling well. My body is not feeling well. And there really are, that is very different perspective. Like really feeling into the I, well, the I is the ego. So you can only have a sense of I or we or us if there's a separation between two things or separation between a group. So it's sort of like there is no I ultimately. There is no we, there is no us. They're all just human concepts of separation and the ego sense. So it's like, it's not that I'm not feeling well, it's my body is not feeling well. So at my core, I'm actually fine. So I'm just slowing down, and that's okay too. Like, so I guess you get this sense of ebb and flow in life as well. And I think this is a topic we should actually talk about. I was thinking is like where the ebb and the flow shows up in different areas of life. You know, we sort of all expect everything at high level all the time and always have money, always have great relationships, always be on. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. It's like there's still this ebb and flow that has to happen through life, and you are going to go up and what seems like up and down. And sickness or illness always feels like you're down type thing, but maybe it's just a slowing down period to then speed up again. So that essence of slow down to speed up, which is so true. Like sometimes taking a step back and reassessing things and allowing stuff to come through you from that channel because you're not feeling well. Sometimes is the most perfect thing to launch into the next phase of whatever you're doing. Lots of insights and stuff about not feeling very well right now, than judging. And I think there's still a part of judgment there. Like I'm feeling like I want to get into stuff, and so there's a little bit of frustration coming up. Definitely around that, because I am excited about our new project and what we're going to do together. But it was interesting. I did just read my horoscope, so I'm going to read it to you. So these horoscopes are daily horoscopes. They come out. They're from a very good friend of ours, 𝘾𝙤𝙣𝙨𝙘𝙞𝙤𝙀, who otherwise known as the Bondi Guru. She doesn't read any planetary stuff. She doesn't know anything about astrology. She only does them intuitively. So she's very much an intuitive reader. She does one-on-one intuitive reads. She does group sessions, and she does the daily horoscopes. And we'll put the link in so that you can sign up if you want, if you feel like you gel with what she does. She is uncannily accurate every day. Just ridiculously accurate. And I guess you'll get a sense of it when I read my one, but she's not sort of forecasting different things. What she's getting you to do is wake up to what's already sitting in the subconscious of you and just making you aware of it, of what's actually going on. And so I had a really big aha reading her horoscope today, because it is about enough how I'm not feeling well. So I'll read it to you. You don't need the kind of break you keep convincing yourself that you need, dear Aries. And I'm sorry if this message seems out of the blue and maybe not even make all that much sense to you, although it does now make sense. You keep telling yourself in the back of your mind that you need a break, whether that's for a break from the world or a job or certain people. And the truth is that you don't need this. You are telling yourself this because you are trying to distract yourself from moving forward in an area of your life where you have felt stagnant, an area where there have been so many challenges that you vowed that it's not worth doing anything about. Take the time today to breathe and connect so that you can better understand this message. And that just really hit home. Like, I have been telling myself I need a break. I've been doing that over the last week. No, I've been really busy, and like all the justifications come in. I've been really busy and putting a lot of hours, and stuff's moving really quickly, and it's almost like I want to put the brakes on because it was moving sort of quite quickly. But now it's moving into, I guess when we first started this process of talking every day, we really didn't know what would come of it type thing. But as we've progressed over the last, 6 weeks now, 6 weeks today, we've sort of woken up. It was like, we really do want to put on a program, like an intensive type program where we work really closely with people. That feels really true for both of us to do that. And that's become clearer and clearer. We're getting more and more insights. And I guess that's the work I've actually been doing, is putting the pages together for that, like the membership and, the order page and bits and pieces for it. So I'm sort of moving in the direction of going down that line now, of actually bringing it into physical reality, that particular project. And that's the part I think that has started to bring up stuff for me, because for the last 5 or 6 years, Jodie and I have really worked hard at different, and I will say hard, long hours, lots of effort, lots of energy going into different projects that we've put together all around the travel lifestyle space. And we've virtually earned not that much money from it. And so that is really sitting on the back of my mind type thing about so much effort goes in, and I know it's not all about money. Definitely, we've had a lot of enjoyment through it, and we've got out of it what we wanted to get out of it, for sure. But definitely there's that human element of, is it all worth it type thing. And I think that's what the horoscope is addressing right now, is that monetary return aspect of effort for reward, for want of a better term type thing. And at the infinite self level, I know that is not even true, because it doesn't matter what you end up doing in life, like what sort of work you end up doing. It doesn't come from there anyway. It comes through there, from the infinite self. But obviously there's still programming that I've got around that, and power that I've actually put into that. We should have got more money from those projects.
Amount of effort you put in.
And so, I'm really pissed about that. Like, if I'm really honest, like, I'm only just talking about this now, like, it's going up now. I'm still really pissed about that, that we haven't done more, because we've seen a lot of people around us in that 5 or 6 years, because we've been very much in the internet marketing space. You have come on the scene, done this, bang, made lots of money, and it's like, fuck, like, how the hell do you do that? Like, what are we doing wrong? Like, I've asked that question so many times about why I wonder what I'm doing wrong, like, to not make money. And I don't have any answer for it either. Like, there hasn't been any answer. So it's sort of an interesting space right now, because I feel like the Infinite Me stuff, and I've talked to our friend Sharon about this, because she's here in Paris right now, and I have sat with her a number of times, and I said, I honestly feel like this is probably one of the first times I'm actually doing a project where it's not about the money. I actually really am enjoying it. I love getting on, even not feeling well today. You sort of said, oh, you don't have to get on, you can miss a day. And I was like, no, no, I have to talk, like we have to do this today. So this absolute commitment, like this is the only time I've actually really committed to something like this.
Yes.
And it's like, no, I don't care. Like, unless I don't have internet somewhere and it's physically impossible for me to get on,
Yeah.
I am going to show up because I really want to show up. So again, in this project, so it's sort of quite interesting in this project that it hasn't been from a money standpoint, whereas I think all the other stuff that we've come up with, different ideas and that, have actually been about money.
Money, yeah.
And I think that's the distinction too, like I was talking to Jody about it, is there's a real distinction between an idea and an inspiration. And I think I really got that overnight. And it's sort of like Jody's not sure what she wants to do next either. She's come up with all these ideas, and but every time it has some sort of monetary aspect to it.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a different experience to what I'm having now with the Infinite Me. And I was like, there's definitely two paths like going on here that you could go down. You sort of come up with an idea, and somehow or another it has to involve money because it's sort of like a human idea, I guess.
Yes.
Like, you've thought about it, even partially logically. There's a little bit of inspiration or motivation in there type thing, but it always seems to lead to the monetary stuff. Whereas pure inspiration, you're really not thinking about that at all. Like, you're just doing what you're doing every day type thing. And it's like, the money will come if it's meant to, if it's not, like, you're sort of really unattached to it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm making this shift from here to here now. And this is sort of probably why I'm not feeling very well, and why the horoscope today was saying that sort of thing, is like, you actually don't need a break. You're actually okay. But there's this shift happening type thing. And I'm looking at this path that I've been on with the ideas and the money and all that sort of stuff, and the effort that's got to go into things, because it's not from inspiration. It's not, certainly some of it was flowing, definitely. I really enjoyed aspects of it, and there was creativity going into different things. So I'm not saying all of it wasn't right. But there's definitely sort of that element of that human project, if you like, where it takes a lot of effort. And occasionally you'll tap into the infinite self in creativity and stuff like that. And parts of it flows, parts of it don't. Parts of it you have to really sort of muster up the energy to keep going with, because you know you have to do that part. But then you sort of get into a project where it's pure inspiration and it's just flowing through you. And it does seem effortless. Like, the amount of work I have got through in the last sort of few weeks has been quite extraordinary. Even when I look at it and go, oh my God, like, look how many things I've actually done. I was like, wow, like, it didn't seem that effortful at all. It was actually really quite smooth. So yeah, anyway, so it's just all this stuff. It's just really interesting right now. So I know I've just covered about 1,000 topics. But
Left to talk about.
Hey?
Nothing left to talk about.
So anyway, that's it. Thanks anyway for your input, man.
Sure.
Oh, Sharon's got something to say. Okay, you've got nothing to say. Here's Sharon. I agree. Overthinking is really hard not to do. It's the same with everything. You can't leave yourself open to the path when you're thinking and knowing options, so to speak. You can't have pure inspiration if you're thinking.
If you think it's right.
Yeah. I agree. There's really no thinking involved in stuff. It's sort of quite interesting. Like, doing this project now with the Infinite Me, like, there really is no thought going into stuff. It's almost like everything just is. So it's like, so we'll run, I'm like, I might come up and go, oh, we'll run a 12-month program. That sort of feels right. And so I sort of say to you, like, I'm feeling like a 12-month program, and like each month is a different area of life, and we cover on different topics, and we get intense about that area of life and we focus on it, and you go, yep. And I was like, oh, it was already done. Like, it was, we didn't have to talk about it even, like, or discuss, is that the right thing, or think about it. It's sort of quite interesting. Like, thanks, Sharon, for that. Like, it's really true.
True.
Yeah.
I think it is that there is that difference, isn't there, when something is that infinite feeling, like we've been, that all of our talks we're talking about coming from that space. When it does truly come from that space, the decision is already made and you're just following now the feeling. That's all you need to do is follow that feeling as it moves through you, and it shows you the next step to take, the next action step or the next thing to do, but the decision is actually done. So it's almost like you're now just creating what was already there in your mind. You're now just creating it in the outside world. And you might not know what that looks like. That's the thing. It's not like you suddenly have, all the aspects of how it's going to unfold, but there's just a knowingness that it's done, that the results already achieved. It's not, it's like almost like you don't actually have to do the thing because it already feels like it's done. As you just said. So I would say that too.
Your only job is to then bring it into reality. I think that's a really important point. Like it's
true.
It is
roll
already
it out.
Like all the effort is actually happening behind the scenes, and I think this is a really important point for me right now. I need to get is like all the effort actually is behind the scenes in the coming up with the idea. Like if that's what the infinite actually did, come up with the idea, and like to give it to somebody, to implant it in their human mind, as a possibility. And then seeing, and we've talked about this before, is like how many people go, oh, I had that idea like the other day, and now I'm seeing it somewhere. Somebody else has just done it. Like how many people does that idea get implanted into? And maybe it's one, maybe it's multiple people, who knows? And it's almost like the infinite's waiting for somebody to go, okay, you're going to act on it. Cool. All right. I'll keep channeling it to you.
True.
It's sort of, I just, Sharon, my feeling and listening to you guys puts a lot of those feelings into perspective. It is interesting to actually visit some of this stuff right now. And can we get the infinite to do the practical stuff? No. That's your job.
But I think it is like,
otherwise why are we here?
I suppose it is that aspect, but of what you're talking about and what Sharon's kind of asking, it is that aspect of when it does feel like it's coming from that infinite space, it doesn't actually feel hard to do the practical stuff, so that there is still stuff to do and it takes up time, and it's just the finite 3D world that we live in. That's just how it will always be, but it does feel like it's flowing. I guess that's where that whole saying comes from about, when you're doing what you love at work, it doesn't feel like work, it feels like play. So it does, and time just flies when you're in that zone of doing it. So but there is still physical things you need to do, and you will still have challenges, and that's kind of just part of the journey too. So we'll never escape that. That's the thing. It is always part of the manifesting, and we get to sort of just play with it a bit more now and follow through on those
fun part
things that are moving through us.
The practical stuff is the fun part, what should be to a human being. We don't make it fun because we don't do necessarily the stuff that seem like this is the most inspirational stuff.
It's probably on that, isn't it?
That's it. And it's sort of like it really should be play. Like if you're doing something that you really are getting lost in almost, where time just completely disappears. And we've talked about that before, like with Einstein sort of saying, if you're waiting for a freight train, time seems to pass so slowly. But if his saying was, if you're kissing your girlfriend, time passes really, really quickly. So it's the same amount of time, but because you're enjoying yourself on one and you're sitting there just twiddling your thumbs on the other one type thing, time seems to expand and contract. And then I think Sharon just said maybe there's not a hurry and time limits we put on ourselves. There's not.
Definitely not.
It's sort of quite interesting when you release that aspect, and I've pulled myself up on it time and time again, funny enough, using the word time, saying to myself, I don't have to have the time limit that I've actually imposed on this right now. And it's just all of a sudden like, release. And suddenly it just seems to flow again. That's really interesting. So
I think that time one is a funny one because it's only our resistance to doing something that makes it feel hard and strenuous and takes longer, and we don't enjoy doing the activity because we've just got some story around that activity, or we don't want to do that things. We don't want, maybe doing your taxes or something. I don't know, it feels boring. Maybe you're just not into numbers, or you don't want to pay money, so you just kind of keep resisting the idea of having to do taxes, say, for example. So it just feels really hard, takes forever, but we could sort of shift that around by make it a really fun experience to do your taxes, say, for example, and like how could you put really loud music on or something and do, I don't know, like it's that, but it is that just that resistance to moving through something that I think makes it feel hard. Yeah. And I think even with our project ideas, how they are just flowing through. So we've already probably changed around many of our ideas in the last 6-8 weeks. Essentially, probably at the core, it's still the same thing, but the actual sort of delivery of, this program that we're looking at, doing this sort of coaching support program that we're sort of mapping out at the moment. But it does feel really natural. Like we just sort of get to a point where we both kind of go, yeah, I don't know, there's something about that's just not sitting right. Maybe we just need to shift this part around, but there is no force kind of in any of the things that we're doing. Like I'm definitely noticed with this project too that I'm not putting the time focus on it at all. Like I'm just really staying out of the time limit of how something's got to happen, because part of me would like to say, oh, well, I need to earn some money from putting some time into this project. I do need to be having some kind of return. And maybe in the 3D world that's a reality, but there is no it feels like there's no pressure in this project at all. Like it is purely playing with the feelings coming through, and trying to do everything that we do is in trying to stay in that infinite space as much as we can. And when we don't stay in that space, we really feel it. Like it's really noticeable when we get caught up in it, and you kind of go, okay, there's that thing, I'm putting that time pressure on that, or I'm putting a expectation of money around this, or I'm putting and maybe even, for example, like I've been on holidays the last couple of weeks. I'm with my parents now, and I was at my in-laws place last week. So I've been traveling and trying to fit in, sort of visiting, catching up with friends and family, and sort of doing these lives and doing a few little things, but I haven't had a lot of capacity to do a lot in the last few weeks, and that has been kind of doing a lot. So there was probably a point at one day, I don't know, maybe last week or something, where I was kind of like, oh, I should be doing more. Like there's a bit of a guilt sort of feeling, I guess, coming up. But then I was just like, well, I planned this holiday months ago, so it was like before we even started this project. Like I had this holiday booked in, and it sort of felt a little bit annoying when the time came to actually go away, because I was feeling so inspired by our stuff, and that I knew I wasn't going to have a lot of time to put into it. And sort of seeing that sort of doing heaps of stuff. So part of my mind kind of wanted to go, oh, well, I'm not pulling my weight. And I was just like, okay, well, that's just that's what I was feeling, Nat.
Holiday.
But there was a day when I was feeling, oh, I should be doing more. And whether Nat was thinking that or not, I don't know. Maybe I was picking up on something. Who knows? I don't know. But it was kind of like I had to really pull myself up and kind of go, you know what? Like I can't do more at the moment. Like I was already trying to stay up late and fit some things in. And then like it was just kind of like, you know what? I'm actually really tired. And I before I went on the holiday, I was already feeling really tired because I'd had some sort of stressful things going on just before we kind of left. And so the part of me is like, you know what? No, I don't have to put any time pressure on this project. Like if Nat has a sense of her putting that pressure on herself, then that's her thing. Yeah, that's her thing, putting that pressure on me. That's not me feeling like I need to step in and do that too, or feel like that's real, or so I had to I definitely had to pull myself up a few times on not getting caught in a story around the time. Oh, this should be taken. We should have done something more by now, or why did we start with such a big thing to launch? Why didn't we start with like a little thing? It's kind of like all these stories that we can come up with around that. But there definitely is just this sense of like, no, just keep following the moment and this is what's showing up, and there is just a knowingness that something is unfolding, definitely, but I don't know what that thing is yet. I can't see it. It's not like, well, you can sort of see it, like, but I try not to put the expectation on it, if you like, of what it's going to look like, or perhaps what the response will be when we put it out into the world, or how it's going to be, all that, like just trying to stay very much out of that, because that's only the ego that's getting caught up in the how it's going to be received. It's just up to us to act on the creative ideas that are coming through. So just doing these talks, the idea that popped in the other day about doing the infinite lucky dip and throwing in some topics and just pulling them out in the moment. Let's say like little creative things like that are just sort of popping up to do, and they are just fun. It's just like, okay, why not do that? Like just change it up, sort of thing. So and then we did the infinite lucky dip for one day, and then we went, okay, we're doing another topic, but we'll go back to that. That's the
We'll
thing.
go back to it.
Like that idea's gone out the window, but it is just that example of going with what's presenting in the moment to do. So yesterday it was really presenting to have the conversation around the rescuing, when your loved ones are going through hard times and you really want to step in. So that was really presenting, because we had two people like writing questions that on the same topic, and so I was like, okay, all right, there's an asking there to respond to, felt like, and it felt true. So we did have that talk. So it is just purely playing with it at the moment and just showing up with
sort of following the end without question, isn't it? Like today I didn't really feel like talking about that topic, but I do want to get back to that topic because I think it's an
I think so too.
But I didn't feel up to it today, so it's sort of following the energy to where it was going today. So for 2 days we haven't done the infinite lucky dip, even though we only did 1 day of it. So we just started it. So it's like, I could judge that and go, oh, you're so inconsistent and you didn't your commitment, and like all these stories come up, and it's like, well, we'll get back to it, like when it feels right to get back to it type thing. And I guess to the outside world it looks quite flaky sometimes when you do these projects, because you are shifting and changing constantly. Like you're doing this, no, today I'm doing something else, no, we're doing something else today. So that's unfortunately the infinite nature, and it's like it does bring up so much human story about all those things. And it's, I guess they're the things that you end up working through. It's always going to take a path to bring up something new that you've still got power in, and taking your power back out of it and going, no, do whatever the hell you like in the moment. That's it. Like there's nothing more than that. There's something else I was going to say about the infinite doing the practical stuff. Sort of knowing that the infinite is the spirit, it's energy only. So it actually has no ability to bring something into form out the physical form. So that's why you're actually here in a human form, in a human meat suit, is because, as Einstein said, I like Einstein. He had some really amazing stuff, Einstein. He wasn't just looking out into space and doing sort of scientific stuff.
No, definitely not.
He had a lot of consciousness stuff as well. If you want to study him, he's freaking awesome. But he said spirit without matter, I'm going to get this right, spirit without matter is expressionless, and matter without spirit is motionless. So the human meat suit, the physical form, everything in the physical form needs spirit to actually move it and to be able to have a sense of movement. Whereas the spirit, which is just pure energy, actually needs a physical form to actually express itself. And that's why we're here. We're expressing all parts of the infinite self here on the human level and playing that game. So the practical stuff actually is why you're here, to bring things into form so that the infinite self has that sense of expression. And that includes everything, all the good stuff, the bad stuff, the positive, the negative. Like if the infinite, like we said yesterday, if the infinite is everything, there's nothing that sits outside of the infinite. So all of it has to be coming from the infinite. Every thought, every action, every inaction, like all the stuff that we beat ourselves up for still has to be part of the infinite. It's impossible for it not to be.
I was going to say with the practical stuff too, I think it also comes down to two, as long as it feels true, all the practical stuff that you feel you have to do as well, because there is a lot of story that we tell ourselves too around the things we have to do, supposedly. So it's even like releasing the judgment that you have around those things too, around, do I actually need to do these things? Like, what, is it feel true right now to do that thing? Can I put that off for 3 days? Like, is it, something I really have to do right now, or am I just telling myself I need to do that thing right now?
Yeah.
So it is that whole thing about checking in with where you're at and following that feeling. So that whole ebb and flow, like you're talking about, is just honoring that. And when you do feel like up and you've got a lot of energy, then you make the most of that time. And then when you feel like you're a bit down and you need to rest, then you rest. Like, that's what
Yeah.
your body's trying to tell us. That's what, if we listen to our bodies, that's what's actually trying to tell us. So when we pay attention to that, it does take out that whole time factor of things having to happen in a certain time. If we're just going with the motions of nature, then we're always at the right time. Like, there's nothing, nowhere to be, nowhere to get to, sort of thing. It's only our own story around that. So
sort of interesting. Like, you wonder whether the body actually ever is sick. Like, if the body is just part of the infinite, then it's sort of speeding you up and slowing you down, sort of like it's almost your mechanism in the human form to do that. It's like, is my body actually sick at all? Like, feels like it needs some rest. But maybe that is the infinite using the body then to just speed up and slow you down, type thing. Like, it's, time and time again, people are going crazy, like working. Oh, I got sick. I was like, yeah, because you've probably not been listening to yourself to slow down for a while. Like, where are you trying to get to?
That's the thing, isn't it?
So, yeah.
Even I'd been saying this to Nat yesterday. I think I had been noticing for the last 3 days, so not today, so 3 days prior, that each time we went to jump onto these live talks, I suddenly felt like I was stumbling on words. Like, it's not that the thoughts weren't there, they were coming through, but I felt almost like I was developing a lisp and I couldn't get words out. It felt like, and that's what Nat was saying, oh, it's not noticeable, but to me it was like I'm really struggling to get a word out. Like, it was just kind of feeling like, it was almost like, felt like my tongue was in the way and I couldn't speak properly. So, and my husband was saying, oh, you're probably focusing on it too much. I said, no, I wasn't really focusing on it. It was just like 5 or 10 minutes into talking, I just had this awareness that I felt like I was really struggling, like, to get the words out. Like, and it was, so as I said, the feelings, the thoughts were there coming through. So it wasn't that I was trying to make up something, like, they were there, but it was just the actual delivery of them. And so I was just sitting with that the last few days, kind of going, oh, it's interesting, like, because it only was happening when we jumped on the lives. Like, it was really bizarre. Like, I wasn't noticing it any other time. So I'd get off these talks and then I'd go and talk to my mum and dad, and I was like, I'm not noticing it now. Like, it's really noticeable. And the only thing I was coming to is that maybe I was like talking too fast or something, or the ideas were coming through and I was trying to, maybe that my mind was getting a bit involved in trying to get the thought out or something. And I mean, there probably was a bit more distraction going on here in the last few days too, like yesterday in particular, I think it was, had my nieces here, or it could be a couple of days ago, had my nieces here in the background, and sort of they're inside, so I was sort of aware that they were there and thinking they're probably going to try and come out while I'm talking. And my parents came out into the veranda while I was in the middle of the recording, and it was just like, I think I got a little bit distracted perhaps from that as well. That doesn't explain the other days. Like, so it was kind of just interesting. It was like, oh, I'm just sitting back and kind of just noticing it, but not sort of really judging what was going on, but just thinking, okay, maybe my body was trying to slow my speech down or something. Or I did notice on one of the videos that I was talking really fast when I listened back to write the summary, as I normally do. I did notice, it's like, oh, I was actually talking really fast that day, so maybe that's why I was getting the tongue. I'm not sure. Like, it was just a weird sensation. I was just really noticing. So so I'm not noticing it so much today. So it's just kind of, it was like 3 days in a row. So it's like, okay, interesting. Like, just sort of sitting back and not judging what's going on, but just noticing it and seeing, okay, there's something there that was coming through, because it was only linked to these talks that we're doing. So maybe I'm you know, as I said, I think the head maybe might have been getting involved a little bit. So maybe my body was kind of sort of giving me a bit of a sign to sort of bring that to my attention, you know, to sort of look at that a bit more and kind of say, okay, what am I doing differently here that's kind of affecting now? Like the time of it was just really bizarre, the timing of only being on this, and then I'd get off and feel okay again. So it's like, it's very
I had the
interesting.
same thing when we first started talking about Infinite Me, like, what, 3 months ago or something, back in June, I think we started talking about it. And Jodie noticed it. She said, every time you talk to Mandy, and we weren't even doing lives back then, we were just discussing the topic and what we might put together.
Yeah.
She said, you get really croaky in the throat. You lose your voice.
Mm-hmm.
It was. And I was like, every time I spoke to you, time and time again, I would get really croaky and I'd have to keep clearing my throat. And then I'd get off and it'd be gone again. I was like, that's really bizarre. I noticed it today. I actually had that croaky voice when I first started.
True.
The more I spoke about what was going on, it just cleared itself. But yeah, I do feel sometimes there's that. Obviously, that's your throat chakra as well, like that, whether that gets blocked or that energy center in your throat sort of thing, where it was all about self-expression. Whether there's an element of that as well, like speaking your truth beyond the knowledge and all that sort of stuff. It's like what's true for you in that moment, just to say what's going on. Like I was deciding whether I was going to read that horoscope and go down that line, talking about that today. But funny enough, when I did do that, it cleared. So obviously I need to speak about that. So it is interesting when you start looking at the body and what it's showing you, the different signs and symptoms that come up, rather than just jumping in going, oh, I'm not well, which maybe I have done as well. Like I've actually said that to myself over the last day or two. Maybe if I stop that story and go, okay, I'm just getting signs and symptoms about different things. What are the different symptoms that I'm getting, and what is it each individual one showing me? Not just lumping it together as I'm not well, but actually looking at the individual signs and symptoms and seeing what it's indicating and releasing those things, and then suddenly you feel better again. Like it goes, whatever it was.
Yes.
It's very interesting. Sharon asked a question here. I don't know whether we answer it right now or we make her wait. We put it into the infinite, lucky dip. Do you think there are infinite beings here without a meat suit? Good question. It's pretty cool.
I suppose, I don't know, I'm guessing from infinite perspective, just thinking, well, if you put them in your story, I guess they would be. I'm not sure. So it's kind of
my initial feeling was asking if there's infinite beings, as in plural, then there's a degree of separation going on.
I was thinking that too, actually, feeling that.
So feeling into the infinite, there is no beings, there is oneness. So my feeling is that the infinite is the energy of everything. It lowers the vibration of certain aspects of itself to then look as if there's physical form. So your actual human body and the table and the computer you're working on and all those sorts of things look as if they're real, but they're actually not. They're just lower vibrational energy that makes it seem as if it's there to the human eye. Because at the end of the day, all we've got is our physical senses to actually see and hear and touch and taste and smell things. And that's how we perceive our world. That's all we've got. So to actually see the computer in front of you, the computer screen that we're all looking at, we're all looking at our own individual computer screens right now watching this, it actually looks as if it's real to the human eye, but it's actually not. It's not even there. So, but it's vibrating at such a level that it seems like it is. So the idea of the meat suit itself actually is not even real. Doesn't exist.
I'm just thinking from that bigger picture, infinite perspective, like that we've been talking about, like if there is the one consciousness and an infinite being decided that it would like to experience other aspects of itself, if you like, so it created the human game where it would be limited and sort of could create almost, I guess, like split its energy, if you like. I'm not, it's probably not the right
Or an
phrasing for it, trying to, obviously we're trying to understand it with a human mind too. So it's coming at it quite limited as well. But yeah, it wanted to experience itself in all different ways. So it created, I came through in this character of Mandy to experience in a certain way. And so I'm going to experience that over there as being my sister and have that storyline going, and then all the characters I run into in my life. So in that perspective, coming from my unique perspective in the world as a human, then there probably could be another character in the story, if you like. So another aspect of the infinite that shows up as energy, if you like, rather than a physical body. So you hear people talk about, people pass away and then they still sense that energy around them. So there is, like, I've definitely had that when my first dog passed away. Like, she was there for a week. Like, I know she was. Like, I could just feel it. It was so palpable, the feeling. And then it kind of just went. Like, it was sort of, now I just had a memory. But it was very different sort of feeling. So in that aspect, I would say, okay, there was another aspect in my storyline that was playing out that wasn't physical. But from that higher perspective, it's all me anyway. Like, if I'm the infinite being, it's all me anyway. So everything I'm seeing outside of me is just another expression of the one. So there isn't any separation, as you said. So that question sort of does have that sort of connotation, a little bit of probably coming from the ego limited mind, sort of asking that question, if you like. So nothing wrong with that either. Like, we all ask those questions, but we're trying to understand it from it does get very confusing, because we are in a human body and we're in 3D and we're interacting with that. But then to kind of go, okay, well, that character over there is actually part of me and it's not actually real anyway. And it's kind of, it does get confusing, I think.
It does. Yeah, and we'll talk at some stage about like the idea of the holographic universe, because I think that helps a bit.
True. Yes, it does.
The concept of a hologram, where there's a projector projecting something out. You've all seen it on Star Wars, the 𝘏𝙀 Princess Leia. But yeah, it looks as if it's real, and it even has some degree of 3D to it. But it's actually a hologram. It doesn't actually exist. So it's a projection, and that's pretty much sort of I guess we've got the movie idea running through everything we're talking about, and we keep coming back to that because I think it is a really good metaphor for what's actually going on. But the hologram also is a really good metaphor in terms of there is just projections going on outside of you. It looks as if it's outside of you. So if you watch Star Wars and you've got the Princess Leia, she looks as if she's real. And she's talking, and you would sworn that was her, but then, sort of slice through it, and she's not even there. So it is sort of that aspect. So when you're seeing other people around you type thing, then that's actually what's going on. But the infinite isn't, like, the projector isn't you as the human form. It's actually you as the infinite form. And you're also a hologram projection as well. So all of it is a holographic projection of consciousness itself. And it's just highlighting different parts of consciousness. So Sharon just wrote this. I feel like I've always had an energy within me that's not me. The energy is there, but I can't see it, I can only feel it. Yeah, that's your infinite self that you're sensing. So definitely, particularly when you're in the flow, you'll really feel it quite strongly. We feel it. Well, it's always there, but sometimes we feel it stronger than others, I guess, depending on where we're at in life. But
we're more tuned into it. I guess a lot of people would call, just thinking, like, throughout time it's been called different things. People used to call it like genius, like, where genius actually comes from is actually like that. It is the aspect of the infinite coming through you, and that was called genius. Like, and we've kind of turned it into meaning something else, but that's kind of what it was about. And people talk about that creative muse, or the muse was sitting on my shoulder and talking through me and that type of thing. And it's like, well, that's your infinite self coming through you, but we've kind of almost made it into a character, or made it a separate thing of like, I've got to wait for the inspiration to come through and things like that. Or so it's just like, no, that is the infinite feeling coming through you, but we just give it labels. And make up stories
Yeah,
around it and things like that too, to make it separate.
yeah. Even the concept of the genius, like you're saying, is like that only certain people are geniuses. That's not true. Everybody is, because all they've done is had enough time and space. I think we did talk about this in terms of the person that created electricity was, I can't remember his name.
Is that Tesla?
Hey?
Tesla?
Edison.
Edison, yeah. Tesla,
Edison.
The light bulb, wasn't it?
Yes, tons of stories about Edison that sat there for years in darkened rooms, perfectly quiet space, and just would come up with an idea, go away, try it. No, it didn't work. Go back to the room. Like just months and months, if not years, of doing that until finally.
Trial and error.
And it's like, was he a genius? No, he just gave it time and space for the infinite to come through and actually give him the answer finally.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a lot of head stuff going on in there, and he was trying to figure it out as well. Like, and he kept almost interrupting the infinite flow, so that's why it took so long. I don't know.
Perhaps,
but yeah, or it was just a process that he had to go through. Like that was the infinite process that he was involved in. So it took however long it took. I don't remember, but it's like eventually we had electricity. So he looks like a genius because he invented electricity. It's like he didn't actually invent anything. He channeled the idea of electricity and how to actually do it into the physical form. So, and the light bulb, So we had now light bulbs and we can see everybody. But so it was. I think that's an important point to remember, that there is no such thing as genius as such. Not the way that we've explained it. Over people have labelled it over the years.
Yeah. It is just the infinite feeling moving through you, and you acting on that. That is genius. Yep.
And everyone has access to that in every moment. So how much do you want to use it? So very cool. Well, there you go. So we started from not feeling well to talking about how electricity was created. There you go. There's an infinite flow.
Yeah. Very true.
That's funny.
There are lots of topics in the moment.
Definitely. Crazy. There you go. Try and do a summary of that one, man. Huh?
Yep.
Yeah. Good luck.
As I say, have a listen. There's lots in there.
Yeah, we covered a lot of topics. Just go for it. Very cool. Well, I'm feeling a bit better. Thank you. I do. A bit better.
Yep.
Okay, just needed to get it out. See, Gaz was right. I didn't need a break. I just needed to move through some stuff. I still feel stuff there. Definitely, there's some stuff coming up that I want to just ponder.
Yep.
So, it's good to talk about.
Yep. Release.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. That's all we can do. Talk about it. Let it out.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes. Very cool. All right. Well, we'll be back tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're back to regular programming. We'll see what's happening anyway in the moment. It's always in the moment anyway. So
that's right. Yes, depending on how we feel tomorrow, I might do the second half of our conversation yesterday, because there's definitely some still cool stuff to talk about there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, yes. You're very welcome, Sharon. It's good to have you along for the journey. Thanks for being here and asking your questions and your little notes along the way I've been reading. Thank you. That's cool. Awesome. All right. Well, we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for joining.
All righty.
Bye.
Stay infinite.